Hey folks, how's it going? RedMaster here, and welcome back to episode of Cards and Castles, the TV commentary. We've got a great set of matches lined up for you guys in this episode, so I don't want to hold off any longer. Let's go ahead and jump right into match number one and see what that match has in store for us. Alright, so on to match number one. We've got ourselves a little bit of a Viking Crusader taking on Mono Pirate, which monos you don't see too often on the leaderboards, or at least on the Cards TV, so it should be fairly good to see what this deck is rocking with here, but it will be soupy, taking on Ohm. Gonna call him Ohm because I think that's how I pronounce it, but if it's wrong, fair enough. We'll start things off here. Looks like our friend in the Mono Pirates, Ohm, doesn't have a move here, so soupy gonna start out with Lumberjack. Seems fine to me. We do have a Bridge Troll, okay, so we're probably gonna play, alright, we're gonna go with that instead of the Brewery here, so a little bit of a block to the Lumberjack and also a cutoff to the Gold early on. Seems fine here. You probably set up for the Brewery now, right? Or the Banshee, whichever one we're going to go for here. Looks like it's going to be a Brewery. Probably would have gone with the Banshee, maybe to put more presence on the board and then spring up the Armory, but the Brewery, excuse me, but I guess this is alright too. I don't know. I'll go with the Sharpshooter though, and that's going to go ahead and set up in the back there while the Troll moves in, pushes some face damage, which is fine. Soupy could be running War Party here now that I look at his card count here, but it looks like a coin to Judge might prove me wrong. As Judge hits the VL, it's going to eliminate the Bridge Troll. Very nicely done there here. Now Sharpshooter can engage with the Judge if he wants to, although that will take some judgment damage for it, so it looks like he's going to hold off on doing so, instead placing a Shaman for draw. That seems fine right there. RedMaster coming out now for soupy, so starting to generate some more cards. Again, maybe pointing to that War Party fact, I'm not too sure. You could be, you never know, but it looks like Shaman and Sharpshooter are going to do some trade work here to eliminate the Judge from the board here. Ohm follows up with a Con Artist for turn and a Banshee that we did see in his hand earlier, so finally going to make her appearance, which is great. You want to put pressure on a deck that kind of sits back like this, and that's what Ohm is doing here. Armory hits the board, though, plus Salahar Rider, so a little bit of, and Storm Strike. I think that's main deck, which is interesting to see, but hey, you know, sometimes with these decks you never know what you could find. So of course Storm Strike going to be able to take out the Connors, dealing some last will damage to the Banshee here, but Sharpshooter plus Banshee still survive. Going to go ahead and take some 5 face damage from the castle, as well as pushing a Swordsman here will Ohm for his turn. Very good body there, and of course the cleave is something that's going to be very scary, but looks like Rune Warrior going to come out here and save the day for soupy as he takes out both Sharpshooter and Swordsman with the Rune Warrior Lightning, a very underutilized or overlooked ability, if you will. Banshee going to go ahead and take out the Armory, which of course does eliminate the Rune Warriors. A good observation there on the stats and the global buffs on the board. And of course I'm going to go ahead and do some more pushing again, this time a little bit more conservatively with the Captain in the middle tile there, and Lumberjack a bit lower in the charge position away from the Tarius, or I mean, it wouldn't matter because Tarius could still reach, but hey, that's thought that counts. So it looks like Hassan Sidigar going to come out, which is fine. Soldier from Call to War, yes, that is the right way to say it. Brings out a Berserker here, so now this is where Ohm might be in a little bit of trouble here. His hand is not looking the best. Things like the Ship of the Damned, you got the Hovel here, nothing that can generate some units except for the Hassan Sidigar, which of course it looks like he's going to go ahead and play here as well, trading that into the Questing Knight, so that way this Captain can take out the Berserker. But again, we're giving the RedMaster more value, except that we don't. Mugging on the RedMaster, a good way to protect the Captain, despite the Guard probably going to make the trade. Yep, Guard does make the trade, so the repost kind of nullified there. It looks like Frost Giant going to hit the board now for Fleet of the Righteous as well. That'll be nice for keeping the Tarius on board, as well as continuing some aggressive damage with the Frost Giant. Very nicely done there. Looks like Archer going to hit the Frost Giant. Same with the Rat? I guess not. Looks like we're going to go ahead and set up, though, for Big Chain. Of course, in Viking, you don't want to give Vikings the chain position like this, but looks like Freezing Pillar hits the board instead. Following with the Storm Strike, we're going to connect to that Hassan City Guard here, doing a bit of chain work, removing the Rat here. And following up with the Griffin, big boy, big Griffin, love to see him on the board. And yeah, definitely problematic for Ohm here. Really just not having enough resources in his hand to really build up a great defense to his opponent here. And we're seeing the draws like Ship of the Dam, Dragon's Horde, Manfish. there aren't really a lot of big bodies in Ohm's deck that really can turn this thing around, I think. And I mean, yeah, Griffin on face, following up with the Grendel, it just might be over here, actually. If Ohm can't get rid of things like the Griffin here and the Grendel in some form or shape, we're going to see the Salahar Spitefish come out. That's going to do some little taxation in the back there, but ultimately can't even remove the Frost Giant. So yeah, this might be in the game here. Soupy just needs a buff of some kind, Blacksmith Armory. Nope, looks like we're going to go ahead and hit for Griffin, hit for Grendel. Flying with the Cloak of Ice here, okay, so just protecting his resources even further here. Rat King to spread a little joy and love. And then following up with the Knight of Flowers. So yeah, this one's definitely going to be Soupy's game. Overall, just showing the late game potential that Vikings have and how dirty Freeze can be. I know I've shown off some Freeze twice between this video and the last episode of TV commentary, but it is a strong ability. It certainly is, especially with the pillar. But hey, I'm not here to promote it. I'm here to show the gameplay. So we'll see Ohm try to take out the Grendel here, but to no avail. Everything else is going to be frozen here, leaving his castle wide open to whatever unit Soupy wants to use to finish it off here. I assume he might hit with Grendel or Griffin just to get it. Oh, never mind. Sudden death is a thing. Sudden death is a thing that I forgot about. But hey, Soupy wins, and of course the Viking Crusader stands tall against the Mono Pirate. Shame to see Mono lose. It is fun when someone brings out the Mono on TV and just kind of sees what you can do with it. That sounds wrong. I just realized how rough that sounds. I'm going to go ahead and move on now. So with that being said, let's go ahead and see what Game 2 has in store for us. Alright folks, and match number 2 on the way here is we've got a mirror matchup. The Viking Pirate showdown between zechknight and Jonah. Fairly high rankings here too, as the 31-71 takes on the 33-29. Should be great to see what both players have in store for us here. Let's go ahead and waste no time, get right into the matchup here. As I assume, well, Temple to 5 got, maybe not. I can't really tell what the deck might be. Guards might point to some kind of journey, though, or reanimate potential. I know these decks definitely like to run that for some big reanimate plays, so we could be seeing that later on in the matchup. Oh, or Mystic Journey. So probably Mystic Rats here from Jonah. And we'll have to see if Zek follows suit with the same kind of combo here. We've seen Elvish Thief from both players, though, so it doesn't really tell us too much here. Zek got a bit of ramp, though. Elvish Thief into Con Artist, so we'll see where that goes. Maybe he's going to set up something a little early for Jonah to try and deal with here, but Jonah not going to fall for the bait here. Instead, setting up Temple in the back with that extra gold. Going to hold off, which is smart. You don't want to just rush into these decks, especially since they can, surprise you with Reanimate in an instant. We'll go ahead and Onslaught. Looks like the Con Artist. That seems fine. And then we'll just go ahead and pass it back. Again, not pushing in. I do like this from Jonah because, of course, you're not giving Zek some Reanimate value here. And with, how many cards is that? 7 in hand. Definitely a Reanimate floating in there somewhere. So you want to make sure that you don't just rush in. Because these guards are doing 2 damage, which can trade with pretty much every unit here. And, of course, the more that Zek puts in, the more he'll get back from Reanimate. So, again, just wanted to note, good job on holding back from rushing into this too aggressively. In response, though, it looks like Zek's going to go ahead and push up the Con Artist and one of the guards at the bottom lane there. Going to give Jonah some room to trade here, removing the Con Artist for 1, following up with the Blacksmith and the Rat King. So potentially setting up that Mystic Journey play in the next turn here, which with cards like, Armory and Temple, or, Smith, Temple in board, Armory in hand, Mystic Journey Rat's going to do some real damaging stuff to the game here, but it looks like Zek's got a response of his own, following up with one of those Rat Kings for a bit of trading going on here. Guards going into the first one, or Zek's guards going into Jonah's guards, Rats going into Rats. It's just going to go ahead and be a lot of trading here to kind of even out the board state just a little bit. We could pop a Journey now, though we wouldn't have the Armory support. Looks like Jonah's going to hold off on that for now, opting to not play the Journey just because he wants more buffs down, which I get. I do respect on that matter. But we'll see if Zek can take the opportunity to kind of punish Jonah for his sort of laid-back approach here. We do see Rusty Hooks, so kind of pointing that this is maybe a Windy Hooks deck, which is great. Haven't seen one of those in a while, and good to know they're still kicking. But looks like the Rat Journey combo going to come out for zechknight here. Going to go ahead and do a lot of trading here. Rats going into Rats, and of course both Rat Kings end up dying. So now Jonah's got no target for that Mystic Journey, which is unfortunate because he could have used it, but Here we are. We'll see an onslaught hit the rusty hooks, probably the best target to do so, considering that you don't want that hooks to start pulling things away from your side of the board here. We'll pull a wind mage from Maddie, which is also good, especially now with that mystic journey. We could probably use this wind ability a couple times to give us some stall if need be. We'll see if that's the case here as Elvish Thief makes an appearance for Zek. And of course, we're going to pass it back to Jonah at that point. It's not a whole lot going on for Zek's turn, which is fine, considering that he probably wants to set up for a more impactful wins than Nord play. But Jonah top decking the Temple off the Shaman. Looks like that's the play to go here. We're going to set up more and more buffs, which is great because all he needs is just one Rat King, and this game could end in a moment's notice, considering that the global buffs they have on these rats is going to be massive. What we will see, though, guard into pillar, so freezing off both Shaman and Wind Mage. Not necessarily the best thing in the world for Jonah to see right now. However, he did pull that Elvish Thief, which we'll probably see. Yep, there it is. And it's going to connect with the freezing pillar. That does also deal 2 chain damage to that Hassan City guard, so of course he can't use that for any sort of shenanigans here. Is looking to journey. Okay, so we will journey the Wind Mage, which is quite interesting. I guess he wants to protect the armory, seeing how maybe he thought the Hassan City guard Elvish Thief was a threat. He would have lost his armory, so interesting choice to kind of protect it. Probably would have conserved the journey myself, honestly, just because what if we do pull something like a Rat King? It would be huge. We play that on this, we play that 1-2 combo with all these global buffs on the board here, and it could be a game ender. So kind of curious as to maybe just why we Wind Mage Mystic Journeyed at that particular point. But I get maybe to protect the armory here. But anyway, let's go ahead and keep going here. We still got more match to get through here as we see a couple of we see a rat move up, lumberjack come out, chain damage killing off the lumberjack. So essentially getting some draw off of a situation that doesn't seem too winnable in that case. But he did pull it off. He did pull off the draw. As an armory comes down, meaning that Captain and Elvish Thief will be in a better trading position here, as Jonah pulls a second rat hovel for his side of the board. Going to go ahead and place that right down there. Follows up with a Shaman takedown of one of those rats, as well as moving in the Wind Mage aggressively here. Okay. So he kind of wants to put on damage, puts on a little bit of pressure to the opponent, and I do respect that, although with things like Mordok lurking in the deck, I'm not sure how smart that would have been, or Yarm, actually, now that I think about it. We could have had some nice Yarm action, but looks like not going to be the case here. Rat King Mystic Journey, though, for a second time. Is zechknight going to go ahead and hit the board? Armories, hovels being taken out. Love to see this sort of cleanup and control that we have here from the Mystic Rat combo. Unfortunate for Jonah, but he still has one Rat hovel at least, so hopefully he can use that. Looks like he will be able to get it off as well. Of course, Zek not having the third journey, to create that bigger swarm. Although not the best situation in terms of draws here, we do have to see Captain get put into the Rat King. The rat's going to go ahead and do some cleanup to kind of clear the castle, but again, still got a lot of rats on the board here. We're not sure how we're going to clean it up with just a lightning blade in hand, unless Zek groups them all together, which seems unlikely at this high level of play. We'll just have to see what we can get here. Yenneroth, a great pull, though. We'll see if that gets used this turn. Looks like it will be. Beautiful. We still have enough for Maddie as well. We could potentially pop that off, which we are going to. Yep, beautiful. And, of course, in the back there, we do get that Mage summon. Very, very nice. Wizard, not a bad pull either. We could definitely use that. A little chunkier than some of the other ones in deck, and especially up against the Pirates. Yeah, if it was a Mage Apprentice, we would have lost it right there. So great to see the Wizard coming out. Medal of Bravery into the Robins, though. So, of course, the Onslaught Robins combination does clear off the Yenneroth, unfortunately. But Chain Lightning dealing big damage, paying big dividends here as the Parrot Rush follows suit. Okay. So maybe a bit more of the Mystic Parrot side of things here, which is also fine. Strong deck, fairly consistent. So it makes sense instead of maybe it wasn't a Windy Hooks like we predicted here. But here we go. We're going to go ahead and hit the rats. Going to go and generate some lightning there. Now this play, hold on. Before we kind of look into it, Woods is going to connect to the Blacksmith here, and that's going to, of course, deal a bit of damage to the board. Lightning Blade would have been a bit more here, dealing 3 and getting the game over sooner. I do note that I probably may have taken that route and instead just kind of blocked off a couple of units to protect spawn. But I guess I respect what he's doing here. He's going to do the Wizard. He's going to trade with the Blacksmith. That's going to go ahead and generate some lightning here. And, of course, we're going to spend a couple of these other units on cleanup. I do think the Lightning Blade probably would have been more effective, but maybe he just was worried he wasn't going to get enough cleanup. And things like Lightning Blade can really lurk and change the tide in a single instance. So maybe that's why he didn't attack with the lightning blade, but still, you know, we would have put him on a one-turn clock rather than giving him this extra couple turns. As Temple hits the board, Yep's going to do a bit of chain action there, although not enough to really be impactful at this point in the game. I mean, sudden death, 3 damage on face. Jonah's just got to stall out for a little bit here. If you can pull, yeah, okay, so there's Jennaroth. And of course, Jennaroth's going to be the game ender here, freezing all units on the board here. Nothing can connect to the face. And throwing it back to Zek, who apparently is just going to lose off of a sudden death. Kind of unfortunate for him, but overall a very nicely well-played fight between, I believe, some Mystic matchup, or excuse me, Mystic Mirror matchup. A little bit different strategies on either end here. We did see things like Mystic Parrot kind of come out from zechknight, which I don't think Jonah was running. I think he was kind of sticking to the pure Mystic Rats build. But great to see that pick up a win here as we kind of proceed further and further along. Mystic Rat's a strong deck, and certainly one that isn't dying anytime soon, especially since no interaction and sort of those direct damage decks have been taking a bit of a sideline recently. People aren't finding them as consistent, so this has allowed Mystic Rats to kind of wheeze their way in and really establish themselves as one of the top decks of the format. So curious to see if that trend will continue, but of course, just we'll have to see as time goes on. But with that being said, we of course have one more match to get to, our final match of the day, so let's go ahead and jump right into match number 3. Alright folks, and this final one is going to be Eskihan taking on a random noob, a little bit of the Warlock Crusader that we kind of mentioned previously, although this could be last will, not too sure, taking on random noob rocking the Ninja Pirate. Now, as we jump into the matchup here, we're going to go ahead and see probably a couple of bounce elements here from random noob. We got the Guard, Shadow Dance, Vanishing Strike, the Shadow Slip, all indicating that random noob is running some kind of bounce strategy here. We'll see how it does against the what I assume is the no interaction, but of course we could be wrong. Rider, of course, very common inside the Warlock Crusader, so we're not quite sure. Lumberjack following suit again, not telling us a whole lot. If I see more last will, then we could probably make that deduction, as Noob unfortunately has to pass turn. Only unit in hand is Dragon Knight, and that costs 4, not 3. So this allows Eskihan to deal a bit of horseman damage. It kind of points to my intuition that this is going to be probably no interaction deck, just based on horsemen. You don't really see horsemen in last will, so gonna be interesting to see how a bounce deck holds up against the direct damage here, and we'll see what happens as Taurus Files gets sets up in the in front of the castle, excuse me. Random Noob's got no fear though, gonna go ahead and charge right in. Following up the Vanishing Strike onto the Dragon Knight. Going to be a good source of damage early on. And, of course, bounces back the Dragon Knight, so we'll probably replay that. Yep, yes, we will. And, of course, going to generate another Drake for us. And we do have a second Vanishing Strike in hand, so if we can repeat those moves, we'll be in a golden position here. Horseman has to go into the Faithful Drake. Fear going to only push back the Faithful one space, thanks to the way the Dragon Knight and the Faithful Drake have been pushed there. But, of course, Headwood gonna hit the board now. Pretty scary if you ask me, considering that thing can do a lot of burst damage in different locations here. Although we have no fear going for the second Vanishing Strike, producing the Dragon Knight yet again here, and do some good separation to avoid the Headwood connections. Of course, one gonna hit the Faithful Drake that's on base here, and of course hitting the castle. Drain Life gonna hit the board though. That means Dragon Knight does get Drain Lifed. Headwood gets a little stronger, and he connects to kill off one of the Faithful Drakes. Bit of a tight situation here for Noob, but of course that Thorn is a very, very big pull here. We can Shadow Dance the Drake and do a better trade actually with this, right? Faithful Drop, yep, 4-6. Going to go ahead and take out the 4-4 of Headwood. And we don't bounce it, which is interesting considering that this is our only unit here, and it's not really, there's no shame in bouncing the unit back to restore it to full health. But again, maybe he was just hoping that he didn't have enough resources to do so, as the Headmaster comes out from Eskihan. So maybe a bit of a Crusader Warlock Awakening deck. The variation that has, seen very little play, but as, equally strong in its own right here, as that's going to hit the board. And, of course, doesn't really accomplish much since Headwood did die. Arcfire going to go ahead and burn off the temple, or try to burn off the throne, but of course the 5 HP too strong, it will survive by 1. Although it puts it in a nice position for something like a Flamestorm to clean it up here, but Random Noob kind of sensing that. We'll try to get the most out of these units here, or we get the most out of the throne with the Lumberjack and Faithful Bounce, restoring them and making them stronger at 4-6 and 3-3 respectively here. Blue Fire hits the Rat Hovel. I assume that might have been for the throne, but of course Incinerate comes out and finishes the job here. And yeah, this is a tough position for eskihan to be in. He's forced to use his burns on buildings where he would rather use those to just hit the castle over and over again. So curious if maybe he's got a trick up his sleeve here, something like an arbiter maybe to kind of just even things out a little bit, because he's kind of struggling for resources here. Headless Horseman hits the board, hits the lumberjack, probably the target he did not want to hit in the slightest, because of course that will survive, and of course really just you know keep it as a pest, as a problem. Rat King hits the board though for Noob overall, and then yep, bounce. Very nicely done. You do want to keep that Rat King bounced because you want to get multiple rats off of that initiative summon. Excuse me. So that is the smart move there. And of course, we do have possible Flame Storm or Dragon's Fire behind the scenes, so you never know if that's coming. Arbiter, though, like I mentioned earlier, did come out, which is very good for eskihan. Kind of stabilizes his board a little bit, despite him, unfortunately, not being in the best of positions here with that Horseman, Taurus Files, and 2 cards as opposed to Random Noob, who is just continuing to cycle cards thanks to Shaman Bounce, as you're seeing here, which I assume he might end up Shadow Dancing again, maybe? No. Okay. He could have gone for more draw here, but I guess it's been important to keep bodies on the board here, especially when Dragon's Fire hits. That is absolutely big for Noob. Despite eskihan removing 3 rats, it does keep Shaman alive, and of course Shadow Dance getting a lot more bounce value, keeping the Shaman at full health and negating the Dragon's Fire effect on the target that eskihan probably would have liked to see the most effect on. As more shamans come out, more bouncing happens. Very nice. You want to keep that draw going. You want to keep that hand nice and furnished. eskihan looks like I think he's just going to pass, doing nothing. It's just taking the imp burn, moving a horseman, and passing. And of course, Throne hitting the board now for the second time. That's going to be big for Noob. Rat King comes in, make that 2. Of course, both going to hit the board here. And I assume, yep, there's a Shadow Slip, creating a whole lot of 3/3 rats for eskihan to deal with here if he can get them all out in time. I don't know if at this point the timer kicked in, but we're going to see 3. We're going to see, yep, we'll see 4. Will we see 5? Yeah, we will see 5. How about the final one? 6? Yeah, we got all of them. All 6 rats have hit the board here, except the Rat Kings. Those guys have stayed back in the hand for now, which is fine. You just want to push these army of 3/3s, and of course, since Dragon's Fire was just kind of looped out of the hand there, not much that eskihan can defend with. Flamestorm, sure, it gets you the Tarius destruction, but it also leaves okay, we're going to burn that more aggressive rat here, throw the Dancing Sword, throwing the Rider. So basically, eskihan's just trying to throw everything at the wall here to kind of see if anything will stick. Random does take up the Horseman. We'll see if that's the case, if he uses that, as well as the Army. Army's got a weird placement. That might have been a misclick. You probably wouldn't want to throw it behind the throne. As we Shadow Slip here, we're going to generate those rats again, or heal those rats, excuse me. And of course, reset the Headless in hand. That could do some big things. As we're in sudden death, actually, I forgot to mention that. We are in sudden death, so Noob really has to make a push to the castle here to see if he can get rid of it, or get rid of the health on the castle. Blue Fire comes in, takes away one of those rats, drain life. Oh, getting closer to sudden death. Here's a 9/6 Dancing Swords moves in. What is Noob's response? Does he have one for now? I think he actually does. Yeah, Panda. Panda comes out. That's going to hit the board here. Bounces back the swords and back to hand. Horseman dealing 3 damage to the castle there. Very nice. And then I assume we're going to, yep, Shadow Dance the Horseman. Very, very great stuff. Rat going to go ahead and be a 4/4 on face, moving up the rats as well, doing some potential cleanup work in a moment here as we, of course, go back to eskihan's turn. Only separated by 1 HP. Does eskihan have the way to remove this? Looks like Rat or Craxus. Maybe he's trying to draw an Incinerate here, but unfortunately drops a Flame Shield on the cracks, indicating that he does not have the burn. And of course, this is probably going to be game over, of course, because Noob can remove the Craxus with all of these rats here. It doesn't matter how much cards eskihan has, he will be dead by the next turn. Or actually, he'll be dead this turn, thanks to Headless Horseman, so Random Noob does walk away with the victory. Overall, very nicely done by the bounce deck to take on something like a direct damage, no interaction based deck. Of course, those do tend to pose problems here with, you see, that much burn. Although, maybe on second thought, maybe more of a Crusader, Warlock, Awakening deck. We did see things like Dancing Swords and Saurus, which typically aren't in no interaction. But overall, congrats to Random Noob for winning that one. A tough matchup for him, again, considering how much Warlock Crusader can bring to the table. And, yeah, you gotta love Panda. Panda, honestly, just a very, very good card to have for ninjas. The balance can be so important, so... Yeah, but with that being said, I'm kind of dazing out here. It's been a long day, you gotta forgive me. With that being said, folks, that will be our final matchup for the day, so let's go ahead and move to close out this video. Alright, folks, and with that being said, I hope you guys did enjoy this edition of TV commentary. I forgot the name of the show. I'm really out of it right now. I hope you guys did enjoy. Be sure to leave a like if you did, share, and of course, subscribe if you're new or haven't done so already, leaving some comments down below as well. And, yeah, with that being said, folks, that's going to do it for me for now. So, until next time, stay gaming.